Hello there, everyone. 20 forgotten empires that you never learned about. Many of these were quite powerful in their own right, and could have rivaled the likes of Rome or China had they existed at a different time or location. You might recognize some of them, but I'm hoping you will learn something from this video. Alright, let's get to it. Number 20. Hittite Empire. Most people don't realize just how advanced and dominant the Hittite Empire was in the ancient Near East. They ruled over Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey, and are considered by many historians to be the first true Anatolian power. But unlike the Greeks who would come after them, the Hittites spoke an Indo-European language and may have been related to the Persians and the Vedic people of India. The Hittite Empire reached its peak between 1600 and 1178 BC and rivaled Egypt during the reign of Ramesses II, which is depicted in the movie Kingdom of Heaven. The Hittites excelled in chariot warfare and defeated the Egyptians at the Battle of Kadesh, which is considered one of the largest chariot battles in ancient history. Number 19. Kingdom of Axum. This was the first African power to become Christian and also one of the most important African kingdoms in history. It's often overshadowed by other contemporary powers like the Kingdom of Kush, but Axum was very influential in the region. Located in modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea, the kingdom thrived due to its control of key trade routes connecting Africa to the Middle East and Europe. At its height, Axum controlled the Red Sea and much of the Horn of Africa. They were known for their distinctive style of architecture, including the impressive stelae of Axum, which are some of the tallest standing structures ever built by ancient civilizations. Unfortunately, not much is known about the Kingdom of Axum because written records from this period are scarce. But it was clearly a great African power and definitely deserves more attention than it gets. 18. Sogdian Empire. The Sogdians were a fascinating group of people who lived along the Silk Road. They were neither nomadic nor tribal, but rather a collection of city-states and mercantile states who controlled vital trade routes between China and the Mediterranean. Although they weren't united into a single empire for most of their existence, they did form the Western regions, a short-lived confederation that united much of Central Asia under the rule of the Sogdian king. During this period, they controlled vast amounts of wealth and became immensely wealthy by taxing the goods that passed through their lands. While their empire didn't last long, their influence on the Silk Road was immense and they helped facilitate the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies between the East and the West. Number 17. Chola Dynasty. Most people associate ancient India with the mighty Mauryan and Gupta empires, but the Cholas were actually the first Indian dynasty to achieve prominence. The golden age of the Cholas took place from 300 to 1279 AD, when the Cholas became a naval superpower, controlling the Indian Ocean. They dominated trade in South India and Southeast Asia and even fought the Srivijaya Empire in Indonesia for control of the sea routes. Their navy consisted of over 2,000 ships, which was the largest navy in the world at the time. The Cholas were known for their advanced shipbuilding techniques, as well as their efficient system of navigation and logistics. They also introduced the world to the decimal system, as well as the concepts of zero and infinity. Sadly, the Chola Empire was eventually defeated by the Pandyas and the 16. Mitanni Empire. The Mitanni Empire was a powerful kingdom that flourished in Mesopotamia during the Late Bronze Age. Roughly from 1500 to 1350 BC, they were situated in the northern Mesopotamia region, which is now part of modern-day Syria and Turkey. What set the Mitanni apart was their expertise in chariot warfare. They developed advanced chariot technology and tactics that allowed them to dominate the battlefields of their time. The Mitanni army consisted of skilled charioteers who were trained from a young age and were able to maneuver with precision and speed. They used chariots not only for transportation but also as deadly weapons of war, equipped with bows and arrows and sometimes even with sharp metal-tipped wheels. One of the most famous rulers of the Mitanni Empire was King Arteshumara, who led his forces to numerous victories against neighboring kingdoms. The empire's dominance in chariot warfare left a lasting impact on the military strategies of the ancient Near East. 15. Kushan Empire. The Kushan Empire played a significant role in the spread of Buddhism across Asia during the 3rd century AD. Founded by the Kushan king Khedivizai, the empire stretched from Central Asia to the Indian subcontinent, encompassing parts of modern-day Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and northwest India. The Kushans were known for their minting of gold coins, which facilitated trade within their vast empire and beyond. One of the most notable rulers of the Kushan Empire was Kanishka the Great, who succeeded his father, Havishka, around 127 CE. Kanishka's reign marked the beginning of the empire's golden age. He continued his father's policies of religious tolerance, which allowed Buddhism to flourish within his borders. Kanishka convened the Fourth Buddhist Council, which standardized Buddhist teachings and helped to spread them throughout the empire and beyond. His reign also saw the construction of numerous Buddhist monasteries and stupas, such as the famous monastery at Begram in Afghanistan. Number 14. Kingdom of Kush, also known as Nubia. The Kingdom of Kush was located in the Nubian region of northeastern Africa. It had a rich history that dates back to the 8th century BC. The Kushite kings were known for their distinctive black African features, which set them apart from the Egyptians. In fact, the Kushite rulers were so distinct that they were sometimes referred to as the Blacks of the Nile. The kingdom reached its peak during the reign of King Pi in the 8th century BC. He successfully conquered Egypt and established the 25th dynasty of Egypt, marking the first time that an African dynasty ruled over Egypt. Despite the kingdom of Kush's prominence, it's often overshadowed by the Egyptian narrative, which dominates discussions about the history of the region. However, it's essential to recognize the Kingdom of Kush's unique contributions to African history and its significant impact on the ancient world. 13. Srivijaya Empire. The Srivijaya Empire was a powerful maritime empire that flourished in the Indonesian archipelago between the 7th and 13th centuries CE. At its peak, Srivijaya controlled vital sea routes connecting China, India, and the Arabian Peninsula, making it a crucial hub for international trade. The empire's wealth and power stemmed primarily from controlling the passage between the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea, which was a key thoroughfare for merchants transporting valuable commodities such as spices, silks, and precious metals. The Srivijaya navy was formidable, with a fleet of swift and maneuverable ships that patrolled the surrounding waters and protected merchant vessels traveling through their domain. Srivijaya's navy also played a significant role in the spread of Buddhism throughout Southeast Asia, as Buddhist monks and missionaries used ships to travel to different regions and share their teachings. Number 12. Parthian Empire. The Parthians were a nomadic people who originated in Central Asia and migrated to Iran in the 3rd century BC. They founded the Parthian Empire, which lasted for almost 300 years until it was conquered by the Sasanian Empire in the 3rd century CE. The Parthians were renowned for their skills as horse archers, which they utilized effectively in combat. They rode horses into battle astride, holding their bows with their left hand, while using their right hand to wield a spear or sword. Their ability to shoot accurately while on horseback made them formidable opponents on the battlefield, capable of striking quickly and then retreating to safety before their enemies could retaliate. One of the most notable Parthian rulers was Archaeology II, who reigned from 107 to 70 BC. Under his rule, the empire reached its territorial peak, extending from the Balkans to the borders of China. During his reign, the Parthians also engaged in conflicts with the Roman Empire, showcasing their military prowess and ability to hold their own against one of the most powerful empires of the time. 11. Zapotic Civilization. The Zapotic civilization flourished in Mesoamerica, specifically in the present-day Mexican state of Oaxaca. From approximately 1500 BC to 1521 AD, what makes the Zapotecs intriguing is that they predated the more famous Aztec Empire, which later dominated the region. The Zapotic civilization had its roots in the earlier and better-known Monte culture. They built impressive cities with large ceremonial centers, including the notable site of Monte, known for its monumental architecture and complex urban planning. The Zapotic language, which is still spoken today, is another testament to the enduring legacy of this civilization. Despite their accomplishments, the Zapotic civilization was largely overshadowed by the Aztecs, who established their empire in the Valley of Mexico. The Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire in the 16th century further marginalized the Zapotic people, who faced subjugation and suppression of their culture. Number 10. Akkadian Empire. Generally regarded as the first true empire in history, the Akkadian Empire was established by Sargon of Akkad around 2334 BC in Mesopotamia. It encompassed not only Akkad, but also the neighboring city-states of Kish, Lagash, and Umma, creating a unified political entity that extended from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea. Sargon's military prowess enabled him to conquer these city-states and establish a centralized government with Akkadi as its capital. The empire's vast territory facilitated trade and cultural exchange among its diverse peoples. The Akkadians also developed sophisticated administrative systems, including a standardized system of weights and measures, as well as a legal code that applied equally to all subjects. However, internal rebellions and external pressures ultimately led to the collapse of the Akkadian Empire around 2154 BC. Still, it set the foundation for future empires in the region. Number 9. Ghaznavid Empire. The Ghaznavid Empire was a Turco-Persian empire that flourished in Persia and northern India during the Islamic Golden Age, lasting from 977 to 1186. The empire's founder, Alptigin Khan, was a warrior and adventurer who united various nomadic Turkish tribes and established a stable state. Subutai's successors, including his son, Madadai, expanded the Ghaznavid realm, incorporating territories from Afghanistan and Iran to Punjab and Sindh in northwest India. The Ghaznavids were both a cultural and military force, promoting Islam and engaging in extensive trade with India. They played a pivotal role in the spread of Persianic culture, a fusion of Persian, Islamic, and Indian influences that contributed to the artistic and intellectual vibrancy of the region. Number 8. Khazar Khaganate. The Khazars were a mysterious group of people who lived in the Eurasian steppes from the 6th to the 9th century CE. They formed a vast khaganate that stretched from the Black Sea to Central Asia, controlling important trade routes along the way. Not much is known about the Khazars because they left behind few written records and were mostly studied through the accounts of their contemporaries like the Byzantine Emperor Constantine Porphyrogenitos. What we do know is that the Khazars were initially nomadic herders who adopted a more settled lifestyle as they grew in power. They were known for their skill in horsemanship and archery, as well as their adaptability to the harsh conditions of the steppes. One of the most interesting aspects of the Khazar Khaganate is that they converted to Judaism in the 8th century, possibly due to the influence of Jewish merchants from the Middle East. 7. Lydia. Located in Anatolia, modern-day Turkey. Lydia was one of the most prosperous and influential city-states in ancient Greece. It emerged as a prominent power in the 7th century BC under the reign of Aloysius, who established a strong military and expanded Lydian territory. His successor, Croesus, is famed for his wealth and the luxury of his kingdom. Lydia was the first state to mint coins made from standardized weights of silver and gold, revolutionizing trade and commerce in the region. The Lydians also developed an advanced system of roads and infrastructure, facilitating trade and communication throughout their empire. Despite its prominence, Lydia's history has been overshadowed by neighboring civilizations like the Persians and the Greeks. Yet it played a pivotal role in shaping the economic and cultural landscape of the ancient world. 6. Yamato State. The Yamato State was an ancient Japanese polity that emerged in the middle of the Kofun period, roughly between the 3rd and 7th centuries CE. It's generally regarded as the foundation of Imperial Japan and is believed to have encompassed the core regions of what would later become Japan. The Yamato court is traditionally associated with the legendary Emperor Emu, who is said to have founded the state in 660 BCE. However, the historicity of early Japanese emperors is a subject of debate among scholars. During the Kofun period, the Yamato court began to exert its influence over other local chieftains and small states, gradually expanding its authority throughout the archipelago. This process of unification was marked by several key events, including the establishment of the first permanent capital at Kashihara in the mid-7th century. By the end of the Kofun period, the Yamato state had emerged as the dominant power in Japan, laying the groundwork for the country's subsequent development as an imperial state. 5. Gokturk Khaganate. The Gokturk Khaganate was a nomadic Central Asian empire that thrived during the 6th and 7th centuries CE. Founded by the Gokturk people, the empire encompassed vast territories from Mongolia to the Middle East, controlling important trade routes along the way. The Gokturks were skilled horsemen and warriors who lived in close-knit clans and followed a shamanistic religion. At its peak, under the rule of the Second Gokturk Khaganate, the empire served as a conduit between the Western and Eastern worlds, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. The Gokturks also left behind a rich legacy of art and culture, including intricate felt carpets, ornate metalwork, and a unique script. However, the empire's downfall in the 8th century was brought about by internal divisions and pressure from external forces. 4. Majapahit Empire. The Majapahit Empire was a powerful seafaring state that arose in Indonesia during the 13th century CE. It succeeded the Srivijaya Empire and flourished until the 16th century when it was conquered by the expanding Dutch colonial empire. Located in what is now East Java, the Majapahit Empire stretched across much of the Indonesian archipelago, incorporating parts of Sumatra, Borneo, and Sulawesi. Its vast maritime dominion enabled the Majapahit rulers to control lucrative trade routes connecting China, India, and the Middle East. One of the most notable rulers of the Majapahit Empire was Hayam Wuruk, whose reign marked the peak of the empire's power and prosperity. The empire's cultural achievements included advancements in art, literature, and architecture, leaving a lasting legacy on Indonesian society. 3. Nowak Civilization. The Nowak civilization was an advanced pre-colonial African society that thrived in what is now Nigeria between 900 BCE and 200 CE, renowned for their mastery of ironworking. The Nowak people created life-size terracotta sculptures that are strikingly unique and captivating. These sculptures showcase the Nowak people's artistic skill and their ability to produce detailed and expressive works of art. The Nowak civilization's mastery of ironworking allowed them to produce tools, weapons, and ornaments of exceptional quality. Their ironworking techniques played a significant role in shaping the Nowak aesthetic, influencing the style and design of their sculptures and other artifacts. Though little is known about their political structure or social organization, the Nowak's remarkable artistic legacy continues to fascinate and inspire awe in contemporary audiences. 2. Tarascan Empire. Often overshadowed by their more famous neighbors, the Tarascan Empire was a powerful Mesoamerican civilization. that thrived in what is now Mexico during the 13th and 14th centuries CE. The Tarascans were known for their fierce independence and resistance against the encroaching Aztec Empire. They inhabited the western highlands of what is now Mexico, centered around the Lake of Pátzcuaro, famous for their stunning silverwork and intricate woven textiles. The Tarascans excelled in crafts and trade. The Tarascan Empire, also known as the New Kingdom, reached its zenith in the late 14th century under the reign of King Terrio Curupari. The empire boasted a sophisticated social structure and an advanced agricultural system. When the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, they encountered a vibrant and resilient culture that resisted colonization for decades. Number 1. Phoenician city-states. The Phoenician city-states were a collection of independent coastal settlements that flourished along the Mediterranean. See from around 1500 BCE to 300 BCE, they were known for their seafaring skills, establishing important trading networks that connected the eastern Mediterranean to the west. The Phoenicians were also renowned for inventing the alphabet, which greatly aided in the spread of literacy and communication throughout the ancient world. Perhaps the most iconic Phoenician city was Tyre, which was renowned for its wealth and strategic maritime position. Other prominent cities included Sidon, Byblos, and Byblus. The Phoenician civilization played a significant role in shaping the course of history, influencing trade and the modern-day alphabet. The world is built on forgotten legacies. Which empire surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hidden history.